how do you want me to drop you home?
Drop me home how? Do you have a vehicle? Do you have a vehicle? You don't. You broke up with me to date my best friend.
I broke up with you because I didn't want to be dating both of you at the same time.
As if he was doing us a favor. I am coming back today with a story time. It has been a while. The last story time I did was in February, and a lot of people have been messaging me on Snapchat like, do more story times, we love your story times, do more story times. And I love recording story times for you too, but I feel like I don't have that many stories to tell you guys. I really have to go into the archives of my mind to find these stories for you guys, and I don't want to like fabricate any stories in story times. I find like so many story time channels where there's a new story time every week. A lot of them are not real, but I'm coming to you guys with a story time today, and this story time is going to be a story from when I was 15. No, yeah, I was 15 years old and I had a boyfriend. Don't ask me why I was 15 and I had a boyfriend, child. But I was 15, I had a boyfriend. My boyfriend cheated on me. Yes, at 15, I was getting played. I was getting cheated on. This is why I have so many words of wisdom for you guys, because I done been through it for a long time. At 15, I was being cheated on, and he cheated on me with my best friend. Not only my best friend, but the friend that introduced us to each other. The one who would be the bridesmaid at the wedding, talking about, oh, I remember when Courtney and... We've got to think of a name for him. Okay. We've used Tim. I like one syllable names because it's easy to remember. Bob. Let's call him Bob. So she was meant to be the bridesmaid at the wedding, talking about, oh, I remember when Courtney and Bob, when I hooked them up, you know, and now to see them married is so beautiful. She was meant to be that girl, but no, because she ended up being the mistress, the concubine, the bit on the side. To be honest, we were both bits on the side because, yeah. So I was 15, and at this time I was in year 10. In year 10 I had a BlackBerry. So I had the BlackBerry torch, shout out. I was on the elite levels. I had a BlackBerry torch, and this is obviously the days of like BBM, what's your pin, what's your pin, what's your pin. So everyone's talking on BBM. I went to an all-girls school, so having boys on BBM was kind of like, why would you have boys on BBM? Like, where do you collect them from? And I wasn't, as we all know, my glow up did not happen until I was like 16, you know. Obviously, I then had a friend, and my friend, we're going to call her, what should we call her? Let's just call her Zara, because my Zara bag, okay. And so I got wind that my friend Zara was transferring to my secondary school. She was my best friend in primary school, and I mean like best friend. Me and her went everywhere together. Our parents knew each other. My mum, my African, West African, Ghanaian mum, trust her mum to take me out without my mum being there, and that's a very big deal. I was allowed to sleep over at her house. Listen, we were close, y'all. If you are black, if you are African, if you are Caribbean, then you know sleepovers are not a thing. So for my mum to let me sleep over at someone's house in primary school, she liked this woman. She really, really liked their family. So me and her, me and Zara, were really, really close friends. And I caught wind that Zara was coming to my school. Now, obviously, I was in year 10. The last time I had really kicked it with Zara like that was when we were in like year 5. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, we're best friends still. Do you know what I mean? It was a good 5 years later. I knew we weren't gonna be like the closest of friends, but obviously I was still excited because it's somebody from my childhood coming, and you know, maybe we could rekindle our friendship. So she came to my school, and this girl had completely changed. In primary school, you know, she was very tomboyish and things like that, and I was kind of tomboyish as well, but now she had come, and she was just gorgeous. She was an absolutely gorgeous girl. And Zara is light skinned. She's actually mixed race. Zara was actually mixed race, and she had this really lovely curly hair when we were younger, similar to this but a bit looser. But now she had like shaved the side of her hair. She had like a side part long Brazilian weave. This was before I had my virgin hair. I was still wearing that premium too, but I was rocking it. And she was absolutely gorgeous. At that time, she was what every girl wanted to be, if that makes sense. So a lot of guys guys were checking for her. So Zara had come to my school now, and she just started to wreak mad havoc. She actually came in, despite the fact she's a tad bit older than me. You guys know I'm a late born kinda. You guys know I'm born in May, and when you're born in May, you're the youngest in the year group. She was one of the oldest in the year group, but when she transferred to my school, she actually came into my school a year below me. And I was hearing, you know, wind of her having fights with people, her getting into arguments with people, and I was thinking, this is not the girl that I used to know. Do you know what I mean? The girl I used to know, yeah, she was brave. Yeah, she had a little bit of attitude, but so did we all. We grew up, you know, in an area where you had to have a rough attitude or you'd be taken for a mug. And so I didn't understand why she was fighting everybody. I went to Sainsbury's after school. There's a Sainsbury's in my area, and I went to Sainsbury's after school, and I met her there. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm finally seeing you. Good to like see that, you know, you're okay. It's lovely to have you at my school, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, but I heard that you've, you know, been getting into fights with a couple people who I know, and I just want to ask you, like, what's going on? And she was like,
oh yeah, I just don't like them. They think they're all that. I don't even know why I'm in their year. Like, they're all really younger than me and they want to act like adults.
And I'm just thinking, babes, I'm not trying to throw shade or anything, but when people are like that, when people don't really acknowledge that the reason why they're in their situation is because of them, and they find a way to blame everybody, that's a really, really big red flag. And that's kind of what she was doing. She was just kind of like, yeah, people were testing me, people were testing my nerves, and I just had to leave that school. No one was taking me seriously, so I had to show them what's what. And I'm just there like, listen, we're only 15, chill. I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. So we spoke in Sainsbury's, and it was kind of like, all right, cool. It was nice seeing her because I hadn't seen her in ages. She looked absolutely gorgeous, and so we exchanged BBM pins. So we started to message each other on BBM, and we basically rekindled our friendship, and we were just having really light-hearted discussion, joking, you know. Every other day would pretty much speak. So during the summer now, Lord, obviously during the summer, during GCSE kind of secondary school times, is the, I can't remember what they call it, but it's a period where you move up into the next year, even though it's not the next academic year. So you basically trial what it's like to be in the year above you are. So I shifted from being in year 10 to being in year 11, and she shifted from being in year 9 to being in year 10. Now, if you know my school, you know my school's in 2 separate buildings. So because she moved from year 9 to year 10, she moved into my building, which meant we saw each other every day, which was lit because obviously we are friends. So this is where the confusion came. Some time came along, and sis got kicked out of school. Why? Because she fought someone. And when you're the new girl and you're fighting somebody who's been in the school from year 7, despite both of you being in the wrong, you're the new girl, you're very easily disposable, and she got kicked out. Obviously I'm just here like, no, wahala innit. She was here, then she's gone. But obviously we're still talking on BBM, so I'm still speaking to her and things like that. So a couple days go by since she left school, and I believe she needed something from me, or she wanted to see me because she had left and she wanted to explain what had kind of happened. So she gets her cousin to come and drive her to my block. Me and her live in the exact same area, but I think she was coming from somewhere. So instead of her to walk to my house, she got her cousin to drive her. So her cousin drove her, and her cousin picked me up in the passenger side, and we were all sitting in the car. Me, her cousin, who was the guy, and her, she was sitting in the back, and I was sitting in the passenger seat at the front. We're starting to talk now, and we were just talking about BBM, and she was talking about, you know, have you had a boyfriend in a while, and da-da-da-da. And I was like, no, I haven't really had a boyfriend in a really, really long time. And she was telling me about these guys that she talks to on BBM, and she was like,
okay, you know what, since you ain't been going out with a guy for a while, I'm currently talking to a guy, I really like him, so you know what you can do, since I won't need them, take my contact list from BBM and look at all the guys I have on my BBM and tell me which one you like, or which ones you like, and take their pins.
Now, me being a fool, I was like, oh yeah, sure, this is a great idea. So I take her phone, I look through her contact list of all these guys, and there's this one guy called Bob. Obviously Bob is not his name, but that's what we're gonna call him because I'm not trying to get sued. So this guy called Bob is there, and I'm like, oh, he looks fine. Sis, he looks fine. He was like I wouldn't call him chocolate, but he was nice, okay? He was more like if you mix caramel and chocolate together, you got him. He was like just a butterscotch. A butterscotch is the best way to describe him. Just lovely and smooth. Anyway, so he was gorgeous. I was like, oh my gosh, like, let me have his pin. Is this the guy you're speaking to? And she was like,
no, I'm not speaking to him. Actually, I've spoken to him like a few times. He seems like a really nice guy. His name's Bob. You should definitely add him. You guys should talk.
So I took Bob's pin and I put it in my phone. So that night I messaged Bob like, hi, my friend Zara gave me your pin. I think you're really cute and I just wanted to start talking to you. Wink face or some stupid emoji. He replied like,
oh hey cutie, like send me a picture of you.
Nonsense, despite the fact I have a DP right there. So I sent him a picture of me and he was like,
yeah, you're really, really cute, so how are you?
And I was like, oh, like I'm good. And the conversation just continued to flow. We spoke for a couple days turned into a week turned into a month. So we spoke for a good month, and throughout this month, you know, I'm still friends with Zara despite the fact she's not in school anymore. So after school we link up and do loads of stuff on the weekend, and Zara is like to me,
oh, how did like your conversation go with Bob?
And I was like, oh yeah, we're talking, I think he likes me, I like him. And she was like,
oh okay, cool, well if you need me to, I'll put in a good word for you.
and I was like, okay, I thought you two don't speak. And then she was just like,
oh no, we don't speak or anything like that, but like, you know, I have him on BBM, he knew me first, so just in case, I'll like start giving him the nudge to start, you know, asking you out and ask you to be his girlfriend.
And during these times, obviously we're 15, there's no such thing as going on dates. One day we were talking, next day, boom, boyfriend and girlfriend. So obviously my next step, naturally, on the natural order of things, was to become the wifey. So I'm thinking, okay, you know what, whatever. I didn't see it as a red flag. Me and this girl have got closer and closer over the last couple of months. So I was like, yes sis, please do, you know, drop a few hints here and there. I ain't trying to be single all my life, you know. I presume she then went and messaged him and stuff, because on the phone with Bob was like,
oh, like listen, we've been talking for a while now and I just want to know, do you want to be my girlfriend?
yes, I do want to be Miss Butterscotch. I was like, heck yeah, yes. I was just so excited, like, ooh, I got a man, ooh, I got a man, ooh, 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 ooh. And now things get juicy. So me and Bob are set to meet up. Bear in mind, I'm dating Bob. I've seen loads of pictures of him. We've webcammed even on MSN days, pew pew, but we just haven't met up. And let me make it clear, Bob is 17, so I was 15, he was 17. He was in college and I was in secondary school. So we decided one Friday that we're going to meet up, and that Friday was the last day of term for me, so I would have had time to go home, change into my, you know, outside clothes, my I look cute, I'm older than I am clothes. But he did know my real age, but I just didn't want to go and meet up with a college guy in my school uniform. So I decided to go home and change and all that. Now, a couple days before this date, I meet up with Zara and I go to her house and I'm bare excited to tell her I have a date with Bob. Oh my gosh. I'm thinking she's gonna high five me. She's gonna be like, yes, go, winning team, cheerlead me. So she sits me down in her chair and she's like,
oh, that's nice, that's good. I did message him and I guess he took my advice on asking you out.
I'm thinking, okay, I don't want you to think you're the one who got this for me, because I've been busting my butt off to get this title, okay honey? But I brushed that off too. And she was like,
oh okay, so what are you gonna wear?
And I'm like, oh, I'm not too sure yet, I'm just gonna like throw anything on, I really don't care. And then she was like,
okay, well surely you're not going with your hair like that.
Sorry?
Just let me do something to your hair, so that when he sees you, he's like, yeah, you look nice.
Excuse me? So at this time, my hair was in twists and I had taken the twist out. Now this hairstyle was not that cute. Now if I saw someone else with it, I would have just pulled them to the side and say, what are you doing? Stop this now. But to me, it was fly, it was cute. I had Senegalese twists and I took out the Senegalese twist and I straightened the expression to make it into pick and drop. And then I took out the front like row, and I left out leave out, and so it was kind of looked like 24-inch weave. And at this time my roots weren't really touched up and stuff like that, so my hair, my real hair, was kind of frizzy, and the extensions are obviously dead straight. That left us with this look which was not wholesome. But I'm thinking, why wouldn't you put it in a better way? Like, why wouldn't you say, you know what might be a good idea if you wear so and so, because I like that outfit on you, and if you wear this hairstyle because I love this hairstyle on you. That's a nice way to tell your friend your hair's not nice, change your hairstyle. But to just say, so surely you're not going out with your hair like that, are you rude? Are you rude? Yes, you are. And I remember leaving her house early because I was so irked by that statement. So I went home and I was feeling really, really insecure. Her hair's always so nice. It's always fried and laid to the side. So I want to be like that too. So I just went home and I straightened the heck out of my hair. I probably gave myself so much heat damage, but I did it because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna look cute. Anyways, the hairstyle still didn't look nice because it was just a horrible hairstyle. But I lied to myself and said, yeah, you go girl, you gon' win, you gon' win. So so then the day comes for me to meet up with Bob, and obviously I've gone to school. It's the last day of school. I've gone home, I've changed into my outside clothes, or like my clothes, and then I'm on my way to meet him. So we decided to meet at a bus station because that's where his bus was coming from college, and this is where my bus was gonna meet from my house. So it was basically just a middle ground for both of us. And we met, and I finally saw him, and it was an amazing day. It wasn't anything crazy. We just were talking and talking and talking and a few other things, but we were getting on like a house on fire. So I really, really liked him, and I remember getting home that night and we were messaging each other like, oh, it was a really nice like date and stuff, like you're really cool, like I'm so glad we're together, blah 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 blah, thinking we were in love, blah 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 blah. So obviously naturally I'm like, okay, we've met up now, when are we gonna meet again? And he's like,
oh, yeah, we can meet up soon.
So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Let's meet up like next week, next Friday. And on your way from college, same place, same time. We can pretty much do the same thing. Like, let's just meet up because I want to spend time with you. So he was like,
oh, okay, fine.
Then a couple days come till we have to meet up. And I'm messaging him like, oh, are you still down to meet tomorrow? And he's like,
no, I've got to do some work after college, so I'm gonna be staying in college. I can't come and meet you. By the time I get back, it will be too late. I've got to do some things for my grandma.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, cool. Maybe we should make it next week. Obviously, I'm pretty much free. So whenever you want to do it, let's just meet up. And he was like,
yeah, I'll get back to you as to when I'm free.
So you're obviously toying with me because you should be making time to be with me. And a couple weeks went by and we still hadn't met up, and he kept putting off my suggestions to meet up. So I did call him and I did like tell him bluntly, listen, us two are together. I don't know if you've forgotten that, but us two are together. I need you to be spending time with me. And he was like,
yeah, I'm sorry. You know you mean a lot to me. I don't want to lose you. Things have just been hectic.
And he had a lot of stuff going on with his personal life, like a lot of stuff happening in his family, with his education, with his work and things like that. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna cut him some slack, and I'm just gonna be like, you know what, when you have time to meet up, let's meet up. But just know that us not seeing each other will damage this relationship in some way because we can't get as close as we would like. And I felt like that was a fair enough point. So a couple weeks go by, we still haven't met up. We've been speaking on a daily basis, and then a week goes by and he never messages me. And I'm thinking, why would you not message me in a whole week? So I messaged him like, is everything okay? And he was like,
yeah, everything's fine.
End of conversation. I said, wow, that's shocking. Bear in mind, during these times, me and Zara meet up and she asked me here and there, like, how are you and Bob? How are things going and stuff? And I guess she wanted to know, just because she was the one who kind of brought us together. She's our mutual friend. So she wanted to kind of just make sure that he was treating me right. So me and Zara meet up and I'm like, Zara, listen, Bob and I haven't met up since we first met up, and I don't know what I did wrong, but I want to meet up with him, but he seems to now be airing my messages and he doesn't want to message me, and can you speak to him for me? So she was like,
yeah, sure, like, of course I'll speak to him for you. I'll message him now because I don't like him treating you like that.
And I was like, yeah, I know, it's a bit crap. So she messaged him, and she came back to me and she was basically like,
oh yeah, he basically said he's busy, you know, he's got stuff with his personal life and
and I was thinking, okay, cool, how do you know about the stuff in his personal life when you guys didn't really talk that much? But anyway, then a couple days go by and it's one weekend and I'm at home and Bob calls my phone and I'm like, why is Bob calling my phone? Bob called me and I'm like, oh hey, like, hey stranger, boyfriend, okay? And he's like,
oh, hey Courts, like, you're right.
And I was obviously like, yeah, I'm fine, how are you? And he was like,
yeah, I'm good still.
And I'm like, okay. And he was like,
you know what, Courts, let me call you back.
And I'm like, why would you call me just to let me know you want to call me back? Okay, cool. 5 minutes later, I get a message on BBM and he's like,
I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you this over the phone, but we have to break up. I'm ending it.
Okay. So I messaged him like, why? What did I do wrong? Like, what happened? Like, this is so abrupt. What's going on? So obviously he then airs my message. And so I call him because that's my response to anything. If you message me and I message you back 2 seconds later and you don't reply, I'm gonna call you because I demand answers. So I called him, he's not picking up my phone. I called him again, he's not picking up my call. I called him again, he's not picking up my call. I called him again and he was like,
listen, I'm busy, I'll call you back.
Forget this. I messaged him like, if you want to break up, fine, let's break up. I don't know why you're breaking up with me. You can't supply me with a valid reason. And I stormed off and I went to my best friend's house. Not Zara, but my other best friend, because that's who I go to after all these horrible situations with all these guys. So I went to her and I was like, Bob just broke up with me. I wasn't crying or anything. I was just confused. I was like, Bob just broke up with me. He didn't tell me why. He just called. He just messaged me like, this is the message, what's going on? And she was like, you need to call him and ask him what's going on. That's not okay. So I messaged him like, listen, I just want one good reason as to why you're playing these stupid games. And he was like, oh, basically, you know, I've got college, I'm studying like a demanding course, I just want to focus on my uni work, and my grandma said that that would be best for me. And I'm thinking, hold up, didn't you know you were in college when you got with me? Or was that oblivious to you? Didn't you know that you had a lot of work when you got with me? So why would you ask me to be your girlfriend if you knew you didn't have time for me? That's one thing that I hate. I hate that excuse of I'm too busy to keep up my relationship with you. If you knew you were too busy, don't get in a relationship. And if you are in a relationship and then suddenly you do get busy, realize that you have a commitment to somebody and make time to fit them in. That's the point of being in a union with someone. You let them know, despite what's happening in my life, I also put you as a priority. You might not pick me first, I'm not your wife, I might just be some 15-year-old girl that you met on BBM, but you have promised me something. You have told me that I am important to you. Uphold your promise and keep your word. So I was very upset about that. So I was like, what a whack excuse, whatever, bye. Didn't delete, and I deleted his number. That's what I did, I deleted his number, but I didn't delete him on BBM. So I kept him on BBM, and if you remember, on BBM you could have a status, and your status couldn't be long. It would be like busy, available, sports, or you could customize it. So most people used to customize it to be like happy birthday whoever or whatever. And his status when we were dating, when we were boyfriend and girlfriend, was C, a C with a heart next to it. And obviously I used to wake up every day, I used to see that, and I used to be gassed because obviously the C stood for Courtney, and it just let me know I am the Don Corleone of this man's life. Obviously after we break up, I go straight to his BBM and he's taking the C down, and it's just busy. So that was the clear sign to everybody on his BBM list and the whole world that he has broken up with this C person. So obviously I took the B out of my status, the B and heart out of my status, and I was like, okay, since you want to let the whole world know we've broken up, everybody gonna know we've broken up, and I'm a free lady, Bob. So I remember calling Zara and I was like, this is a couple days later, I remember calling Zara and I was like, listen, me and your boy broke up, it's whatever, I don't know why, he gave her a rubbish excuse, whatever. And she was like,
yeah, he's an idiot, why would he do that to you, yeah, he's so out of order,
blah, blah, blah. After a breakup, I kind of go MIA. So I went MIA from Zara, from my other friends as well, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna focus on my studies or whatever. So now I'm scrolling through my BBM and I really have forgotten about, this is like a good 2 weeks after a breakup. And when you have a breakup from someone you've only known for a couple months and you've only met once, you get over it quite quickly. So I was on his BBM and I was just seeing that he changed his DP. I saw he changed his DP to a picture of himself. It was a new picture I'd never seen before, so obviously I was praying. And I look at his status. My eye just glanced over his status. It wasn't like I was looking at it to see what was there. But interestingly enough, there was a Z with a heart. So I was like, oh, he's got a new girlfriend. Okay, here I am single. My status says available. And then a couple minutes later, I'm scrolling through BBM and Zara comes up and I'm like, oh, I haven't spoken to Zara in a while. Checked her like profile and stuff. And I know I'm not the only one who did that. You would just randomly go and check people's profile, check their DP, check their status, check their name, stuff like that. And in her status is a B with a heart. So obviously, I'm now trying to put 2 and 2 together and just think, no way she wouldn't do that. So I just leave things be. Zara's not coming to my school anymore, obviously. Bob is completely out of my life. I might as well just move on. But after I saw that Z and B stuff, my gut was just telling me this is completely off, and I just stopped speaking to any of them. I completely cut contact with them. But then I remember Zara put up a status like,
going to meet with my man and I'm so excited.
And then Bob put up a status like,
yeah, it was so nice seeing my lady.
And I'm thinking, this is too coincidental for you both to be seeing somebody on the same evening and then you have each other's initial. So I was seeing that, but obviously I'm thinking I'm not her friend anymore. I'm not his girlfriend anymore, so I just don't need to bring it up because I'll cause myself severe pain. And then I obviously get a new phone. So I got a new phone and I wasn't on BBM anymore. I just had enough of those days. I have a HTC now and I'm just trying to live my best life. But bear in mind, I always kept the same number even when I changed my phone because I had the same contract. So one day out of nowhere, a +44 number messages me on WhatsApp. And I'm like, who is this? Check the DP, it's Bob. And I'm thinking, Bob, it's been like a good year, wagwan, like what's going on? Why are you messaging me? Why do you still have my number? He was like,
oh, how are you, sweetheart?
Don't sweetheart me, I don't know you. And he was like,
oh, just been thinking about you.
Don't think about me. There's no need for thoughts to be had because obviously when I was with you, you didn't want to think about anything. And then he was just like, oh,
let's meet up. Like, let's meet up. I want to, obviously I did you wrong back then.
I'm like, I'm glad you acknowledge it.
But I'm different now, like.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, you know what? Let's meet up. Let me give him a chance. Now, I did not intend to go out with him. I just wanted to hear what he had to say. Because despite the fact it had been a long time, I was still very intrigued as to what happened between us and why it kind of fell apart the way it did. So I was like, okay, cool, let's meet up. He was like, cool,
we'll go Tinseltown.
And at this time I'd never been to Tinseltown before. And he was like,
oh yeah, I'll pay.
And I'm thinking, wow, okay. Okay, I hope you know that don't mean you getting nothing. But so I go, we're meant to meet up. Why am I waiting for this guy for a good 30 minutes? I messaged him like, where are you? He was like, actually, I'm in McDonald's. Do you want to come and meet me? I said, what sort of tomfoolery is this? You said we would meet in front of Tinseltown. Now you're in McDonald's. The two don't correlate. And I hope you don't think you're getting me a Big Mac when you promised me some good milkshake and wings. So I said, cool. I went to McDonald's and I went to meet him and he was with his friend. So I'm thinking, who's your friend? Obviously I'm annoyed already because I'm thinking, you're a bloody liar. Why would you tell me to come here when, like, it's just so annoying. I sat with him and his friend and we were just talking and we were just catching up and he was like, rah, you look bare different, you look bare nice. At this point I had some nice curly hair and I did wet and wavy and I was wearing a nice skater dress and I was wearing a grey leather jacket and I'd just come back from work, so I had a little bit of point on me. And even his friend was like, rah, like, you're actually paying. And I was like, thanks. All three of us are having a conversation now. His friend basically asked Bob and I, how did we meet? And so I basically told his friend, like, oh, we met through my friend Zara. And I basically turned to Bob and I was like, oh, Zara, do you remember Zara? And he was like,
yeah, I remember Zara.
he had this cheeky smirk on his face, and I was like, okay. And he was like,
oh, have you spoken to her recently?
and I was like, no, I haven't spoken to her since like me and you were pretty much together. And he was like,
oh, okay, calm.
and I was like, what about you? He was like,
no, I haven't spoken to her in a couple months.
and I was like, oh, okay, so since we broke up you had been speaking to her, yeah, all right. And then he was like, yeah. And then we were talking, and he was like,
what were your thoughts about Zara?
and I was like, what do you mean? Like, she was my friend from primary school, she's a lovely girl. And he was like,
oh, cool, because I found her a bit like, I don't know, I just found her a bit booky.
and booky basically means when somebody's like a bit dodgy, they're a bit off. And so I was just like, okay, she never used to act like that with me. I mean, well, actually not until I got with you. So I was like, okay, still in McDonald's, you haven't even bought me a drink, common 99p drink. When are we gonna wrap this up? Because I need to go home because it's a waste of my time. And then he was like,
oh yeah, so you wanted to know why I broke up with you, innit?
and I'm thinking, why would you put it like this in front of your friend? Like, are you trying to embarrass me? But then I was like, yeah, why did you leave? And he was like,
oh, so basically like after I broke up with you, innit, like I started seeing Zara.
and I was like, sorry?
Yeah. I started seeing Zara. Like I broke up with you because I didn't want to be dating both of you at the same time.
As if he was doing us a favor. I didn't want to be dating both of you at the same time. Oh, thank you, Mr. Moral Safeguard, the king of morality, monogamous being. You broke up with me to date my best friend who brought us together. Actually, like, we started kind of talking and stuff before you and I had broken up, and she was basically telling me like, oh,
you know, she thinks she'll be better suited to be with me, and she thinks that me and her will make a better couple than you and I. And to be honest, like, I liked her a little bit more. Obviously I'd known her longer, so I decided that I didn't want to lead you on at the same time, so I'd break up with you and then I'll get with her.
And I was like, right, the truth is really coming out now. So you guys had been talking, like, Zara had definitely downplayed the way you two were speaking to each other, okay? But apparently you two really, y'all were buddies, huh? You guys were really talking. He was just like,
yeah, like, I'm so sorry.
and I was like, well, how did that situation go for you? Let us all know.
The relationship didn't really work. We saw each other like twice and I just didn't like her vibe.
Okay. After I heard that in McDonald's, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to go home. So he was like,
oh, do you want me to drop you home?
drop me home how? Do you have a vehicle? Do you have a vehicle? You don't. So I'm gonna get on my trusted TFL and I'm gonna take myself right back to my house. How about that? So after that, never spoke to him again. I have not spoken to Zara in years. So that was the story time, guys. I hope you guys found it interesting. I'm just getting L's left, right and center when it comes to guys, but yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy it. So I'll talk to you guys later.